Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our session on respiratory care training solutions using simulation, brought to you by both DiaMedical USA and Hudson Simulation Services. So this morning we are going to cover, the need. We're going to talk a little bit about the need for respiratory care training, specifically in nursing. And we're going to look at a couple aspects, both the therapeutic aspect, what needs to be known about the COVID condition itself and other respiratory conditions, as well as, we know that the educational landscape has totally changed in the last 12 months, requiring new delivery methods. So we'll also look at how simulation products can be used both in the lab, in the classroom, and now online. Then we're going to look at specifically on the clinical side, what may be, the range of skills and knowledge that providers have to have, ranging from awareness level all the way to advanced knowledge of these specific conditions. Then we're going to jump into the Hudson Simulation family of simulation solutions. So we have one of the, widest ranges of respiratory care simulation products, and that's really the focus of our company. And we're very happy to be teamed with DiaMedical, who has a lot of experience in this area as well. So our three products that we're going to look at is SimVS Ventisim, which is an affordable tablet-based mechanical vent simulator with all the functionality of a real ventilator. We're also going to be looking at our new LuSi neonatal simulator, and finally Test Chest, the probably most advanced lung simulator in the world today. So quite revolutionary. So that's our lineup. And finally, we're going to end with a Q&A session, answer any questions anyone may have, and we'll look at the funding opportunities that have now been provided through the second round of stimulus, so would help you acquire these tools. So obviously, our world has changed from 12 months ago, the care delivery environment and everything that goes along with that. And no need to tell the educators here that the classroom and lab situation has totally changed as well. And you need flexible solutions that'll meet both those needs. And then when we look at the training requirements, we can go from awareness level, the basics, such as understanding the modes of ventilation. There's a range of ventilation modes, ranging from the traditional ones, volume and pressure, to the new ones that have more automatic and more features built in, like SIMV, APRV, etc. It's also good to have a basic understanding of the ventilator waveforms to be able to detect any problems that may show up there, and condition dependent problems. We'll also look at the alarms, which are a key part of the ventilator management, and all our solutions cover that. And then when we get into nursing skills, oxygen administration, other procedures, how do the vents react to those? Then if we go to the more advanced level, all of our simulators have models of the human lung, the physiology. So what this does is the operator or the instructor does not need to calculate what the wave should look like. This is automatically done based on inputs of parameters such as compliance, resistance, breathing rate, etc. All right, so that can be modeled. So we can change all the variables, breathing rate, IE ratio, I time, etc., etc. We can look at variable flow patterns, different types of ventilators. And one of the things is, with our tablet-based solution, we have two-way communication. All of our solutions come with a separate hemodynamic monitor if needed. So they'll have the complete picture of the patient, both on the ventilator side and on the cardiac hemodynamic side. Again, we have a comprehensive curriculum for all of our products, and that includes COVID-19 scenarios with the latest clinical information there. So again, In addition to COVID, a lot of other common conditions can be mimicked: asthma, COPD, recognizing problems such as a bronchospasm, tube disconnect, pulmonary embolism, cardiac arrest. So the things that people would commonly see. Then different levels of training. So perhaps you're training in a critical care or an ICU environment. We know that many programs are co-located with respiratory therapy programs. So, you know, any investment in a ventilator simulator could be a joint effort between your nursing departments and your respiratory therapy departments, or if you're co-located with a medical school, the pulmonologists and neonatologists. And then we start getting into, you know, respiratory is such a complicated science with so much physics, but, you know, there is a lot to learn there. So, you know, talking about the different vent adjustments, the different modes of ventilation, how you handle different disease conditions, how you simulate different types of physiological complications like pneumothorax, and then also common problems that they may see, you know, tube disconnect, pulmonary embolisms. So there is a tremendous amount that needs to be done in the respiratory. I'm a paramedic myself, and I'm really in awe of what the respiratory therapists know.
Yeah, just before we jump into, you know, these products and specifically why we're, you know, highlighting these, is because we found that over the last year, we've had a lot of educators reach out to us and say, hey, we're starting this brand new COVID landscape, and we have really no idea how to teach standard ventilation, recognizing specific waveforms. And we've really noticed that, and I'm sure Greg can attest to this, is that as we're getting this technology in front of educators and instructors, their students feel empowered. They're heading out into the real world and have a strong foundation of what they need to do in a COVID situation and what to do when it comes to working a ventilator, where in the years in the past, we've had a lot of issues with that.
So in some ways, it's like all simulation, it's stress inoculation. So if they can see a COVID patient in simulation before they see them in the real life, it helps reduce their anxiety when they do get face to face. So, you know, that's one of the big benefits of simulation training. So those are our objectives. And now let's look at how we meet those objectives with our training products. And I apologize for jumping in and out. All right, so we have 3 core products. This is our family of respiratory care training simulators. The first up at the top is our tablet-based Ventisim. And so we'll look at that. It performs exactly like a vent does. It has, as all of the products do, a model of human lung performance, so it dynamically adjusts everything. We have LuSi, who is our neonate simulator. And then we also have Test Chest. Test Chest is an advanced adult lung simulator. Now, both LuSi and Test Chest have the same origin. They come out of Switzerland, and they were initially developed through the Hamilton Ventilator Company when they were building a very advanced autonomous ventilator that didn't need any, that had advanced AI, that really didn't need any operator to perform. They needed the counterpart, they needed advanced lung simulators to develop those machines. So both of these have advanced AI, and we'll go into that further, but what that means is they are going to respond exactly as a human would, so it takes all the burden off the simulation operator because the responses are automatic. So that is truly, truly revolutionary technology. And we didn't mention at the beginning, but this is going to be the first of 4 webinars. And we are going to, our subsequent webinars, we're going to focus again for about half hour on each of these specific products, where you'll see live demos of them and see them in operation and be able to do a deep dive on each one of these products. So that you'll be receiving emails regarding that as well. Welcome, everybody. So just one thing, anyone who joins late, we are recording these sessions and we'll be able to provide a recording to everyone. So, so don't worry if you missed anything, you'll be able to watch the recording or share it with colleagues afterwards. So going to our first product, SimVS, Ventisim. So we developed this line of virtual monitors. And the idea with these is we replicate the physiology that, high fidelity mannequin does at a fraction of the cost, using, very accurate screen-based tablets. So we have hospital monitors, fetal heart monitor, defibrillator, vital signs cart, but really our premier product is the Ventisim tablet-based mechanical vent simulator, which was the first tablet-based mechanical vent simulator in the world when we released it in 2018. So, it's been doing very well. And actually, just FYI, so this is used a lot in respiratory therapy programs as well as nursing programs. But this software is the software that's used for the licensing exam for all the respiratory therapists in the United States. So that kind of, shows a little bit of the reliability of the technology there. So what we have here is we can see this is the display. All right. And so they are going to get dynamic waveforms representing pressure, flow, and volume for all the different modes of ventilation. They, on the right-hand side, they're going to get all the inputs and outputs of the vent. As well, on the left side, we have the controls where students can make adjustments to the vent. We have the alarms we can see in the middle. We have the oxygen button. We also have maneuvers that can be performed, such as inspiratory and expiratory hold. And if we have time at the end of the session, we'll do a quick overview of this. But again, we're going to have a separate webinar where we're going to go in depth to this application. So the way this application works is similar to your high fidelity mannequins. So we have an instructor control tablet where the instructors control all the physiology. And we can either operate from pre-programmed scenarios or scenario parts, which you see in the middle left there, or we can do what we say, on the fly. So we can adjust variables as the scenario is progressing, make it more difficult or easier. But again, all of our products have pre-programmed library of scenarios, making them very easy to pick up and operate. And, I would say that the learning curve is quite gentle on all our simulators. And, if you have the chance to be in the other webinars, you'll see, many times we send these tablets out and we don't hear from the customers because they figured it out on their own. So, we really, that's kind of great. So, but we also really enjoy spending time and, taking people step by step how to use these. So there's a lot in here. In addition to the waveforms, we can create, cases where we send media files such as x-rays, drug report, lab values, all from the instructor displayed on the student tablet. So those are some of the main features of that.
Hey, Greg, could you go ahead and highlight just for everyone? I know we spoke on it a few days ago, just on the importance of using these type of ventilators, and specifically the SimVS model with COVID, specific scenarios that are specific to COVID-19.
Yes, so both SimVS and Test Chest, the adult simulator, we have COVID scenarios programmed in there, from the beginning acute stage through the management of the disease. So those are pre-programmed. They're all based on, the latest treatment protocols. The vent is so complicated and it's been such a learning curve on the vent, but we have those programmed in those. Initially they thought it was like ARDS, and they started adjusting their thinking on that. But, we do have those scenarios. And so people would have the opportunity to practice on simulated COVID patients with these solutions here.
And from an instructor standpoint, you can use the system in a remote learning environment. So the students can be at home seeing the patient's monitor as everybody's discussing changes, and the instructor can make the changes in real time so students can see the changes that occur and the effects of their interventions. Also, when we start getting back into the classroom, you can project this up onto a screen in the lecture room so that everybody can see it and participate. And then finally, you can use the SimVS with your existing low fidelity mannequin to turn it effectively into a high fidelity mannequin with no extra electronics needed.
Yeah, so just as Sally mentioned here, so it can be easily integrated into the classroom. The tablets can be hooked up to your projector, and we'll talk about how they can be used online in a second. So it's a complete kit that comes with that. And in addition, when you purchase the ventilator software, you also get the defibrillator and the patient monitor software. So it's a whole suite of monitors. So you can also use this for training all your ACLS and PALS classes as well. So this is an example of one of our pre-programmed scenarios. And the idea here is, rigid objectives, well, and, very detailed stepwise. A new instructor can pick up a scenario and very quickly understand what's needed to be able to run the scenario. And then one of our hallmarks that we innovated through Ventisim, because the vent is so complex, and we're talking about 10 variables that could be adjusted, so that leads to like thousands of different possibilities. So what we've done is we've adopted the training method that they use on the respiratory therapy boards, which is we present a situation and then we present 3 or 4 choices for the students to make, usually an optimum choice, a couple of choices that are intermediate, they won't hurt the patient but they won't improve the patient, and then finally one that's clearly wrong that could harm the patient. Now what's unique about those is once the students make their choice, we will show them the effects of those decisions. So if they make a critical decision, they will see it and they'll see the implications, and we'll have a chance to discuss it. And this is proven to be very effective and actually quite popular with the students to work through the cases this way. And it's also a nice group activity. You could, if you're doing a classroom, you could assign a group. Okay, group A, you have the first question, group B, defend your choices. So it can be a very interactive way of doing these types of scenarios. So we talked about remote learning. So the applications being used right now by many schools to teach mechanical ventilation and ECG interpretation, many other types of things. And the simplest way of doing it is, as we're doing it this morning, we load the screen sharing application on a tablet or whatever you're using, and then that is broadcast to everyone that you invite to see it. So that's a simple matter of loading the Zoom app on, or if you're using Teams or Blackboard or whatever application your school is using, that's the simplest way to do an instructor-led synchronous session with the students. Now, we also have developed an asynchronous mode, and in this mode, instructors create cases that the students navigate through, again, in the multiple choice format. And if they get the correct choice, they can advance. If the choices are incorrect, they loop around till they get the correct choices. And they'll see all the patient information, the different monitors as they go through it. Now, this can be widely distributed. This will work on tablets, but we've also devised it to work on iPhones and Android phones. And we know all your students have those. So this is a way of them, doing cases on their own time. Once the cases are performed, there's a detailed after action report that's created, and that can be emailed to the instructor so that, you can check that they performed it. you know, see, you know, is everybody getting the concepts that we're trying to get across or not? This is hosted on a server that we maintain. So, you know, it's an additional option on Ventisim, but it has a lot of flexibility in this online environment right now. And we're going to save questions for the end. But the last thing on the Ventisim is that, you know, we know that the high fidelity mannequins are great tools. However, most of them do not perform that well on mechanical ventilators. Most of them are not able to hold PEEP. So any display, any waveforms that we get from the mannequin are inaccurate because of that. So what many programs are doing is they are using their high fidelity mannequins for the hemodynamic output, but then they're coupling that with our Ventisim tablet to give them a ventilator display in that scenario. So that's a very nice coupling that, you know, many programs are doing. Another option that we have, hybrid option that we have, is we've developed a stand, a vent stand, a simulated ventilator. And so on top of that ventilator, we would place the Ventisim tablets. Now, the mock ventilator that we've created has all the tubing, so they would be able to practice that psychomotor skill and adds to the realism of the scenario. This product is going to be priced under $1,000 for the stand. And we'll have packages with the scenarios and everything. But, you know, both these solutions represent something. So Ventisim, I don't know if I mentioned it, is right around 5,000. So it's much less expensive than a new ventilator, and new ventilators are hard to get. And same thing, it's also less expensive than a refurbished ventilator, which are also hard to get. Now with a refurbished ventilator, they're going to push the air, but you can't really run scenarios on those because, you know, you have to dynamically program. They don't have the ability to pre-program different types of scenarios. So for training, we feel that this has a lot of advantages and is quite a low-cost solution to, you know, fix the ventilator training area. So that is Ventisim. So now we'll go on to our mannequin-based solutions, and this is LuSi. So LuSi was just released less than a month ago. She's from Switzerland, and LuSi is a 36-week-old neonate, and she weighs 6 pounds. As you can see, very, very realistic. The bodies are 3D printed, and everyone is hand painted. Let me just admit that person.
And LuSi is super important because infants born to COVID positive mothers are more likely to be born prematurely. And hospitals are definitely limiting access to NICU units for students in training. So LuSi gives students the opportunity to perform skills like intubation while wearing all of their PPE that they would need to use when caring for a COVID positive infant.
Thank you, Sally. So we've got a short 1-minute video of LuSi in action. I'm going to show that right now.
LuSi is so realistic looking, and she's completely wireless and tetherless, so you can use her anywhere you want. She can be brought from area to area, to campus. And also the absence of wires really helps make the scenarios more realistic, and it makes it easier for instructors because they don't have to hide those wires. That way you get better student buy-in and more believability, and you have more opportunity to affect their attitudes as well as their knowledge base and their skill level after working with these this type of simulator. Yeah. She is absolutely amazing, and you can do all sorts of things with her. Intubation, she can support oxygenation, intubation, and non-invasive ventilation. And the nice thing is that she is a smart simulator, so that she responds automatically to interventions that the students do. That provides instructors with the opportunity to pay more attention to the students and less to changing the settings for the simulation, and eliminates the need for a separate simulation tech.
And it really, so we are going to do a separate webinar on LuSi and on test chest, and you'd be able to see this autonomous feature in real life. But just to give you an example, when we demonstrate LuSi, what we'll do is usually we'll be have LuSi on BVM, and what we'll do, we'll take the BVM off and we'll plug the endotracheal tube. So LuSi is no longer able to breathe. I know it's not very nice, but that's what we do for training. So you'll see all the vitals go down, trend down, and then we start bagging again, and automatically they all come up again. So it really, really is incredible. I've been doing simulation for 20 years, and this is the most, I think if we do simulation, we all kind of get the bug, but this is the most advanced and the most incredible one that I've seen. So, we hope you can join us for that one and see the enhancements. Now, so LuSi, like test chest, can be they are designed to, you hook the mannequin up to a ventilator, and then the learners practice manipulating the ventilator to try and solve the clinical problem of the patient's lung state. So it really is a ventilator training tool. So again, we're talking, advanced level here. So probably where this is going to be useful is in a NICU environment, or if your program has a critical care training program, or if you're teamed up with a respiratory therapy program or a medical school, this would be a good solution here. So again, this is the range of objectives that you can train, starting with interpreting vital signs to alarm settings to waveforms, similar to Ventisim, but then getting into some of the more advanced features that way. All right, so LuSi, similar to Ventisim, has a nice library of pre-programmed scenarios, and these are the most common newborn scenarios on here. We're just showing 3, but there are a dozen of them, as well as tutorials of how to learn the simulator. Once we launch one of the simulators, they may have different parts, reflecting different conditions, and we simply tap on one of those to move to the next part. Now, within the parts, LuSi has over 60 lung parameters that can be adjusted. So again, you can see that would be a very deep dive on respiratory. What we're seeing over here on the left is a real-time display of the vitals. So that's a numeric display, but LuSi also comes with its own vital signs monitor. So we would see the waveforms and everything displayed that way. So we've got it.
Yeah. And again, infants typically are not infected with the COVID virus, but they are increasingly at risk of being born prematurely. And it's really important for healthcare providers to be able to perform these skills while wearing all the PPE and following all the infection control protocols. So LuSi is a great opportunity for them to practice all of those skills.
Great. And so anyone who joined late, we are recording this session. We'll be able to get this recording out to you as well. So finally, our last product here is Test Chest. Test Chest is our adult lung simulator. You could think of it as a flight simulator for ventilators. So what we see here in the foreground is the device itself. And we are coming up with a new version that's going to have a torso, that will have spontaneous breathing and IV arms. That's going to be about 6 months out. But current models will be able to be upgraded to that. So we're going towards more full simulation with that. But what we can see here is that we have a learner operating the vent to adjust the vent to reflect the condition that's replicated by test chest. We also have an operator in green who's watching the parameters being changed, but also making any on-the-fly adjustments. So
is really a very flexible unit because you can connect it to a high fidelity simulator. So you can get all of your vent functions with any high fidelity simulator. If you don't have one, you can still teach all these skills by connecting a low fidelity simulator to the test chest and using the SimVS Ventisim to display all of your vital signs. And so it's very adaptable to whatever mannequins you have available at your facility. You could even just use it with a mannequin head, as you're seeing in the pictures here.
Right, and so here we see, once again, this is the interface, a very clean interface. Over on the left, we see these are our pre-programmed scenarios. To go to one of them, we simply click on the name of the scenario and it's instantly applied to that. And over here on the right, these are the parameters that can be adjusted with the slide bars, once again, for on the fly. Now with all three, it's very easy to create your own scenarios as well too. And just one thing, test chest, the learning curve is literally 15 minutes versus some of our competitors, we're talking 8 hours or more. So, it's very simple to use yet powerful. And one of the, testaments to that is test chest is now in every United States Navy hospital to train all their clinicians on the vent operations. So, and the main reason for that was accuracy, but ease of operations because you don't need a separate operator. So, a lot of savings in labor costs there, right? So that was one of the big reasons for that. So again, it can be used with high fidelity mannequins integrated, the high fidelity mannequins that may not have strong ventilator functions.
Mm-hmm.
So we're
Yep.
kind of running a little bit long. I don't think we'll go into the Ventisim demo. I think we'll save that for the separate session. What do you think, Travis?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, Greg. Just, for some of the participants that joined late, just a few notes for you. We are recording this entire webinar, so you will have access to that. You are also going to receive probably on Monday, maybe Tuesday, an email from one of your DiaMedical account managers that are going to reach out. They're going to inquire to see if you're interested in receiving any quotes or signing up for any of the next webinars that we're going to have that are going to do a real deep dive into Ventisim, LuSi, or test chest. So we will have a lot of different additional information available to you. So this first webinar was definitely kind of just to pique everyone's interest and give a really brief overview of what we're highlighting here. So yep, Greg, I'm cool with us going ahead and just passing on the demo today. I know I do have a couple of questions here in the chat. So Greg, I'll go ahead and just kind of list those out to you and you can go ahead and answer them. But in the meantime, before anybody takes off, we really appreciate you coming and joining us today. It's our mission and our goal here at DiaMedical to continue to provide products like these three to help, one, make your instructors' lives easier, make your educators' lives easier, but more importantly, provide your students with all the tools to be great, impactful clinicians, nurses, doctors, pediatricians, and kind of be able to enhance the educational experience and enhance the learning curve, I guess we could say. So, Greg, I'm going to go ahead and just start going through a few of these questions. And if anyone does have any other questions, you can feel free to add them in the chat and we'd be happy to answer them for you.
Okay.
So the first question I have here was from Diana. She was asking, does the ventilator come with the mannequin? So I'm assuming she was asking about the Ventisim and then LuSi and the specific packages that are included with those.
So Ventisim, DiaMedical has a range of combinations of Ventisim and different mannequins. So one of the combinations they have is with Terry, which is a NASCO medium fidelity mannequin, geriatric mannequin. That's a very popular combination. And then they have different combinations. Another one is with the SmartStat mannequin. And these are not high priced mannequins. These mannequins range from $2,000 to $10,000. So, if there's no if your facility needs a mannequin, whether low fidelity, medium fidelity, or high fidelity, we have different packages that go along with that.
Mhm.
All right, thanks for that, Greg. So I do have a couple more questions that were emailed into me. So the first being, a customer was asking if the Laerdal 3G will work with Ventisim.
Yes. So, the 3G is probably the most widely used mannequin, high fidelity mannequin out there. And we have many programs that, as we showed before, the 3G is not equipped to go on a ventilator. So, they'll use the 3G for its hemodynamics. And then side by side with that, we'll put the Ventisim. Now, the Ventisim can operate, wirelessly from the control rooms where the operators are operating the 3G. We also have our respiratory scenarios have been programmed for the 3G. So if you have a 3G and you get Ventisim, you can also get the 3G programming for that at no additional charge.
Thank you for that, Greg. So the next question I have here is, do other monitors come with Ventisim?
Yes, so I'm going to go back to the very first here.
Greg, before you answer that one, I just had a follow-up question come across asking if Istan and Athena, I'm assuming these are two different types of mannequins, if it's configurable with those as well.
Yes, they are.
Yes. So, I think you represent those at DiaMedical, right?
We do. And both of those mannequins are completely compatible with the Ventisim.
Great. Thank you, Sally.
Things about the Ventisim is that you can use it for nursing, you can use it for respiratory therapy, and you can use it for interdisciplinary. So when you have nurses and respiratory therapists working together to help figure out what's going on with the ventilator, it's great for problem solving like that.
Right. So this is our family of monitors. So with the Ventisim, the hospital monitor comes along. And one thing that you can do when you're running a Ventisim scenario is toggle between the ventilator and the hospital monitor. And it also comes with the defibrillator. So those are all included with the package. The other monitor that we have is the fetal heart monitor, and that would be an additional one. But, the mannequins come from Switzerland, and we like to think that SimVS is a little bit like a Swiss Army knife that has the monitor you need when you need it, type of thing. So.
Great, thanks, Greg. And it looks like the last question that I have here is, what support is offered with these simulators? Is there specific warranties or add-ons, or kind of what's included with each of these three products?
Sure. So Ventisim, lifetime software upgrades. So, our customers from 3 years ago are getting all the latest innovation at no extra charge. We do extensive, initial training. We have a self-serve menu of videos on all the different, parts of using the tablets. And we also provide, 9 to 5 regular support, even on weekends. People got to stop calling me like an hour before their sessions, but they do. And so, we walk people through, whatever they need to make sure that their sessions run smoothly. And then same thing with the LuSi, same thing with the test chest. A lot of times with those, we will do an initial on-site install and training. And then, for service, we would try and do what we almost telemedicine, diagnose them in the field. If they have to come back to New York, we take them back here. And, we have demo units. So, you won't be stuck for long without a unit, and then rapid turnaround on the service for that.
All right,
But
that looks, go ahead, Sally.
I was going to say, but the startup for all of these units is very, very straightforward. They easily connect, and the programming is so simple. It's very user friendly that most instructors just get started with it and don't have any problems at all.